you do something so many times, your body now knows how to do it better than your conscious mind. Now it becomes a subconscious program. So that's 95% of who we are. So the process of change then requires that we become conscious of our unconscious self, so conscious of those hardwired thoughts, those automatic habituations and those emotional reactions and conditionings, so conscious that we don't go unconscious and return to that same personality, because the disease and the gene expression and the biology will stay the same. If we can change that and sustain it and begin to fire and wire new thoughts and begin to rehearse new ways of being in our mind and begin to teach our body emotionally what a future event will feel like before it happens. If the environment signals the gene according to epigenetics and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, could we signal genes ahead of the environment? Is that what these people did? And is that what I did? So I did my best to demystify the process and use it on people to see how they could change. And for the first couple of years, not a whole lot happened. I mean, people felt better at the end of a workshop. And then after a couple of years, we started seeing people step out of wheelchairs, and we started seeing people, cancers go into remission right in a weekend event. And that's when I knew that I had to start measuring. And that's when I knew I had to really look to see what was going on in the brains of these people. So I assembled a team of scientists and researchers. We've measured over 12,000 brains now, maybe even more than that. And I wanted to see people's brains before they came to an event, put them through the rigor of transformation, keep them in the same environment, give them the right information, have them understand what they're doing, understand why they're doing it, use science as the language to demystify the process so the how gets easier, and assign meaning to it. And if you can put intention and meaning behind it, could we get better results? And so we want to also scan brains in real time. I wanted to see your brain, Glenn's brain, in a meditation when he is either overthinking and overanalyzing, or he's learning how to suppress his analytical mind and get into the operating system where those subconscious programs exist. And the word meditation, really one of the important elements is to teach people how to self-regulate and create more coherence and change their brain waves so they can really begin to reprogram themselves. And it means to become familiar with, to become so conscious of the old self that you don't go unconscious to it, and so familiar with a new self that you become that person. And so we started measuring heart rate variability, and we wanted to see when a person's frustrated, impatient, resentful, their brain waves get a little bit aroused and their heartbeat's out of order, and now they're out of balance. Their physical and mental health is off. And that in that state, when we're incoherent, biologically we're incoherent in our mental health state. So is there a way to create more health and more balance? And we came up with an understanding after looking at thousands of brain scans and a lot of HRV measurements that there's a way to actually teach people how to do that. And you don't have to be a mystic, you don't have to be a saint, you don't have to be a yogi. You could just learn the formula and what kind of effects would it require. So then we started measuring gene expression, and we saw that in 4 days people could change their gene expression. In 4 days they could make genes, activate genes that make new neurons in their brain, not make new connections, but new neurons. Genes that promote, oxidative balance, genes that strengthen the immune system, genes that activate stem cells to go to damaged tissues and repair them. These are all fundamentally important genes for health. And didn't matter what you eat, didn't matter what you drink, didn't matter what you did. It's just somehow if you came and you did it, what you believed in, the color of your skin, where you're from, none of that mattered. And so then we started measuring immune regulation. If you trade fear, if you trade pain, if you trade anger and aggression for an elevated emotion, and teach people how to sustain that state, will their immune system get stronger? And we saw that people can strengthen their immune system dramatically in a very short amount of time. We measured telomere lengths. Is it possible then to lengthen your life when your body's in balance? And telomeres determine your biological age. And lo and behold, 75% of the people in the study lengthened their telomeres in 60 days. They changed their life. They changed their future. They extended their life in some way. And so I got super hopeful about this. And then we started, I wrote 4 books, and what came along with that, Glenn, that was so exciting was the testimony. Nothing like seeing a person stand on the stage that came to the event in a wheelchair, and is standing on the stage in front of an audience of 1,500 people as the example of truth and can walk normally. Nothing like a person with Parkinson's disease who has severe pain and tremors and can't walk in a frozen face, smiling and holding their hand out with no tremors. It's nothing like seeing a person with stage 4 cancer that was at a previous week-long event that showed up a month later at the next week-long event with her scans to show that she had metastatic cancer spread throughout her entire body. And then all of a sudden the PET scan shows it's gone. Not there any longer. Zero. Nothing. Blind people seeing, deaf people hearing. And it got crazy. And so we have evidence in our scientific studies, and we have evidence in our testimony, and evidence becomes the loudest voice. And it's the magic number when we have somebody who is the example of truth stand in front of an audience and they look like a normal person. They don't look like a movie star. They're not young and buffed and fit and look a certain way. They're just an average person. Mm-hmm. And they tell their story and it's not glamorous, but they're triumphant, and they kept overcoming and they kept showing up for themselves and kept believing in themselves. That's the 4-minute mile. That's that person that pierces a level of consciousness and says it's possible. Not only is it a footprint in the field, quantum field, but it's also evidence in 3-dimensional reality, and people lean in. And this is the cool part. They lean in because there's truth looking them right in the face. And they'll say, if that person can do it, I can do it too. And just like an infection spreads amongst the community and creates disease, health and wellness becomes as infectious as disease. In our events, we see people. I just watched a testimonial yesterday of a guy who came in a wheelchair. I mean, he couldn't walk. He couldn't take more than a few steps. Very debilitating neurodegenerative disease. He leaves the event, he leaves his wheelchair and his walker, and it's not the first person that happens. So that's evidence, So then we started partnering with universities, and we said, okay, some of these people are having dramatic changes in their hearts, in their brains. And we started working with universities that have the sophisticated instrumentation to measure cellular biology. Thousands and thousands of metabolic reactions that are taking place, and looking at the plasma and blood of people that do meditation. We started seeing then, when we subjected their blood to like a virus that behaves exactly like the COVID virus, that their body was immune to the virus. The advanced meditators, it wouldn't enter the cell. And this is super compelling data, because that says that there's something within us that really has a profound immunity to the environment. And we've isolated now the factors in the blood of advanced meditators that are so important for that. And then we started taking the advanced meditators' blood and subjecting it to cancer cells, uterine cancer cells, and seeing how the mitochondria, which are the engines of the cells that keep the cancer cell almost immortal, drive the energy out of the mitochondria by 75%. Took the wind out of the sails of cancer cells. We see people that have, we take advanced meditators' blood and we subject it to people with neurons that have Alzheimer's. And all of a sudden you see the gene downregulated. So there's something in the plasma that makes us very hopeful about human potential. And the real key element, the most important element, is it's not anything out there that's going to do it. It's all in here. And so I'm super hopeful, super excited about some of the stuff we're doing. I just was on the phone with a researcher, one of our researchers, beforehand here, and before I got on this podcast. And this is a very empirical, well-published scientist that is so incredibly excited about what we're doing. So we have been on such an amazing journey.